Art 2 students, hello, good morning. I'm trying to be kind of quiet because a bunch of freshmen and sophomores are testing this morning. So I'm trying to make this demo video really quickly. So I'm here to talk to you about the first part of your culture prints, which are the block prints, the linoleum, and we're going to talk about cutting and everything first. But first I want to talk about drawing your piece on your linoleum. I printed out the flower that I chose. This is, I wrote it down, the national flower of Nigeria, the Costus spectabilis. Does that sound right? It's an African herb. It lays low and it's a perennial, and it says it's closely related to the ginger family. Here are things I learned today. But my plan is that I printed this out relatively close to the size I wanted. And I'm just going to cut it out and trace it. So you want to have some sort of plan when you're drawing this on your linoleum, right? I decided I want the outline of this shape printed. And what gets printed on the linoleum block is the stuff that doesn't get carved away. So I'm actually kind of making more work for myself because I'm going to leave the fine outlines of this piece and carve away the bulk of the piece so that it prints just those outlines that I want. But because of that, I thought it'd be easy to just cut out this whole outline or this whole image, trace it, and then I'll cut out each leaf and trace it, and the flower and trace it. And then, and I'll talk about this again when we talk about carving, I will carve away the stuff that doesn't have my Sharpie on it, okay? Because I want my outlines printed. So here we go. Okay, so obviously the print is not going to have as much detail as the flower, right? And then my lines are very bold. I did try to make them a little different in thickness to try to give a little bit of dimension to the piece, but if I'm doing outlines, it's going to be a simplified version of this flower for sure. So now, again, because of how I drew this, you know, the other reason why I made these lines so thick was because it's going to be easier for me to carve them if they are a little bit thicker. So I'm going to carve out in between the black lines because I want the black lines to be what prints. Okay, so here are your carving tools. This is easy to cut linoleum, so it should be easy, right? It's in the name. And you get a handle, they're on the cart, and then you'll have a variety of tips that you can use. So you can see, whoops, this is going to be the thinnest one. Is it going to zoom in here or focus? No, why would it? Come on, buddy. How long does this take to do? Okay. We'll work on here. What if I'm out of the frame? All right, well, this is a bummer. I don't know how to show you this properly, but essentially there's different size tips here. You can see one of them is a lot thicker. This one is tiny, it's for details. This one is like a rounded U. It's going to be to get the bulk of the area out, and then I have another one too that's a pretty decent size. Oh no, this one's a rounded U. This one, whoops, I had it backwards. This one's a V shape, so this is going to make some nice grooves right next to my outlines, and then this one is the rounded U that's going to take out the bulk of it. So if you want to change tips on here, you'll be able to see that. Maybe you can see one side of this has a thicker piece of metal, one side has a thinner piece of metal. You're going to put this in with the thinner piece of metal. Might have to loosen it up a little bit. Easy peasy. There it goes. And then once you have it in there, you just tighten it, which is to the right, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? So now I have this ready to go. These can cut you, so you do not put your hand down and then carve right towards your hand, because if it slips, you're gonna gouge your hand. If that happens, I have Band-Aids. Try not to do that. It seems like not a fun thing to do. So you're gonna keep your hand, your non-dominant hand, firmly to the side here, and then with your dominant hand, you're gonna carve into this linoleum. And again, like, I'm just trying to get rid of the bulk of this, so I'm gonna go around my lines. Okay, students, what do you think? You do not have to cut it out like I just did at the end, and I don't know if I'll regret doing that either. So essentially, because I just wanted my outlines to be printed, if you carved out that whole background, I just know this from experience, that the ink has to have some place to go, so a lot of times the roller will smush it onto the corners and it doesn't look very nice. You can fix that, resolve that by actually putting a border, or like leaving a border on your square as well. But I don't think I'll want the border when I'm going to print this, you know, repeating across the background. So it was an artistic decision I made, and it was made intentionally to cut it out. You do not have to do that step. So that's it for how to carve out. This was pretty slippery, this stuff, so I did feel my what is this called? My carver slipping a couple times. Remember too, with linoleum, if you slip and you carve out a space by accident, that is going to stay carved out. I don't really know that there's a fix to do that, so you kind of have to make it part of your piece then. So let me know if you have any questions, and then I'll get ready for our second step, our second demo video of inking this and printing it. Okay? I'll see you in class.